Hey guys, welcome back. I am back from my hiatus and I am excited because I got new artists all for the month of June and July, just bringing you tons of indie comic interviews for your enjoyment. And today I have the creators, very patriotic creators of the Indiegogo campaign, HIRO, Blood of the Patriots. And HIRO is actually an acronym for something you're going to have to find out during the interview. So join me as I interview the two creators as we have some fun, talk about all this cool stuff about the comic book, and get into a little bit of some patriotic goodness. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview for HIRO, Blood of the Patriots. Enjoy. Hey guys, thanks for coming on to the show. I think we talked a lot in the past regarding you guys' campaign. I know, like when I was looking for your campaign and trying to schedule an interview, I saw a lot of it that we've already talked before. So I'm sorry if it was like back and forth, bouncing around and stuff like that.
It's all
So,
good.
No problem.
so I'm going to turn it over to you guys. You guys take the floor. Tell us about your campaign, your character. I looked over myself, but I want to hear from the creators themselves. So go on ahead and take it away.
I can start, Macho, this time if it's okay with you.
Do it, man.
All right, I'll just give you the little quick elevator pitch on this.
All right.
America needs soldiers, and death is no excuse. The world is at war. Russia's red threat is closing in. With limited options, the U.S. delves into the black science of reanimation. But when the experimental technology is stolen by a psychotic warlord, it's up to an unlikely team and an undead super soldier to stop him. Enter HIRO. Will it be America's salvation or its greatest sin?
Nice. Now, to my understanding, I read that HIRO because when I read it, I want to pronounce it as HIRO, like a Japanese, but it's actually an acronym, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. It stands for Hardware Integrated Reanimation Ordnance.
Nice.
So
Now, how did you cut? Say that again?
It's a military acronym.
Okay, makes sense. Obviously, how did you guys come up with this concept?
Go ahead, Macho.
Yeah, so it's a funny story, and I always tell it that I always start out by saying that I must have eaten something really weird to have this kind of dream. But it started out as a dream, and what happened was I had this weird dream, and it was like you know the droid from Star Wars on Empire Strikes Back. It's on Planet Hoth.
Yeah, the one with the legs and it flying around.
The spy droid, yeah. So it was one of those. And but he was holding up a body in front of him, a dead body, and he's floating around as his dead body. He's trying to be a human, and I was like, I remember this dream about it, like trying to do human things and trying to pawn itself off as human. And Mutt and I started talking about. I told him about this dream, and first of all, he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And second of all, he was like, this is a cool concept. We should start talking about it. And we started kind of boiling it down, and we got it to this point where it was this comic book. It was this comic book kind of sounding idea, and it just spiraled out of control from there.
I like the concept. Actually, I usually share the screen a bit later, but I'm going to share right now because I have your campaign actually opened up on my second screen. So just give me a second.
Yeah.
Let me know when you guys can see it. Should come up in a bit. My computer's like super slow. I need to invest in a new one. All right. Can you guys see it?
Not quite yet.
Mine says that you have started screen sharing.
Anything now?
It's just like a black screen.
Give it a second. My computer's like, it's powering like another monitor, a microphone, a drawing tablet, and a USB drive. So
there it is. Now it's up.
All right, cool. So you can see my mouse and everything.
Yeah.
Now I'm really like excited for this right here. You guys have 25 days left and have completely smashed your goal. So when I get into the segment about advice on running crowdfunding, I'm definitely going to pick your brains on that because I know a lot of the audience are looking for a little bit more of a guidance kind of thing when they're running their Kickstarters and stuff like that. But I looked at you guys' pages for your artwork whenever this thing wants to load, and you guys have gotten your first thing unlocked. What I looked at it, so from my understanding is you have this contraption, right? And whenever a soldier dies, this contraption kind of gets on the back of the corpse and reanimates it, right? Am I in the ballpark?
Yep. You
Yep,
got
absolutely.
Now, I'm looking at the design, and I swear to Mother God that it looks like a xenomorph. Like, is that where you got the design for?
You have to talk to Mud about that.
not really. It's really kind of it's really just comes from something that actually could get on a back. Like it starts out as a backpack,
Uh-huh.
and then you have to have the helmet. And so to connect the helmet to the backpack, you have to have like this kind of like mechanical tube.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of a basic design, but it's like that on purpose because this first one that you see in this comic is designed in a garage by the
Okay.
scientist.
So this is like a prototype, you would say.
Well, yeah, it's the only
Yeah.
one of its kind, and when we're starting out our story.
Okay.
So yeah, it's got kind of a basic design. It does kind of have a xenomorph look to it, but it's not
Dead.
intentional. It just is. It's just kind of the way it is because we just had to kind of make this thing basic. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah. And it's exciting because like you're seeing it, and this is basic. Like he said, it's designed in a garage, but he's gonna evolve like physically and in other ways too, which is
Like
gonna
a
be really
xenomorph,
cool.
right? No, I'm just playing.
Like exactly like a xenomorph. You're right.
That's it.
So, now if the main character named Hero, now I'm kind of asking two questions at once here. My number one question, I guess, because I'm a science nerd, is there any like science based on how this contraption reanimates a corpse?
Yes, and well, yes and yes. So first of all, HIRO, hardware integrated reanimation ordnance. It's starting out as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So the military loves acronyms, and so this project started out as plans for a weapon. So they're calling them HIRO for short. There was gonna, there's without giving too much away, and you'll see if there is a 16-page preview issue that you can download for 100% free on our Indiegogo page, and you'll see in that they were trying to build a weapon.
Okay.
So there's going to be tons of these things. They're reanimating dead soldiers so that they can fight again and help us out in World War III. But this is the only one this time. And then to the second question, which is there actual science behind it? There's no science that I know of people trying it, but I have done a lot of referencing and research myself on the human brain to write the story. So there's a lot of things, like especially in that first 16-page issue, if you read
Mm-hmm.
it, there's a section where one of our main characters, Dr. Crouppen, the inventor of HIRO, is talking to Dr. Perez, and he kind of is explaining some things, and it comes from real science. There's situations where people, like for example, one of the kind of villain aspects is it's kind of like an evil version of HIRO, if you want to think of it that way. It basically is the same thing, except when it reanimates somebody, it faults them in what we're calling rage phase. So
Mm-hmm.
it faults in this part of the brain where the only emotion that it's able to tap into is rage, and it goes haywire and destroys stuff. And that's a real situation that you can get if you're this. Now I'm going to get really nerdy, but if your hypothalamus part of your brain is depolarized, and it can happen to people, then you'll get into this rage phase, and that's why sometimes people will go on rampages and brutally just murder people or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's from a situation like that, and so it's kind of a long story to say yes. There's a lot of science in it, and I have actually read and tried to understand a lot of it.
Yeah, because I see that. Well, obviously, because you said this thing, the contraption with the helmet. The helmet, I would assume, is the most important part because you just said that it takes the brain. That part you just I can't rename it because it
Yeah,
was
the
such a weird.
hypothalamus.
Yeah, hypothalamus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this thing is hijacking the brain and it's reanimating the corpse because they say that the brain and the heart, one controls the head, the other one controls the body. They're independent of each other. So your brain, even though you're dead, sometimes your brain is still functioning a little bit more. So
certainly
this thing would make sense because if it's piggybacking on the brain and reanimating the corpse. This is why this dude is like, all wild, right?
And the theory is like, this is what we, when I was writing this, my theory is that, like when, like, let's say like a kid gets run over and grandma's there and grandma like lifts up a car, right, to get the kid out from underneath it. For whatever reason, grandma's able to turn off that part of her brain, and she like can use 100% like full potential of the human body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody says we only use 10% of our brain. We're not able to really unlock what the human body can do. And it's kind of like this. After the soldier has died, and the HIRO unit interfaces with the brain and interfaces with the body, it's able to unlock 100% of the brain's potential, 100% of the body's potential. So it turns it into this super soldier. Through science.
I got you. Now, with this, does the host, I guess that's what I'm going to call it, does the host remember anything from their past life? Are they in control of the unit, or is the unit in control of the body?
Yeah, once again, great question. So in this story, without giving too much away, the HIRO unit is able to reanimate the body. And because of in the first issue, once again, go read that, because there is a scene where Dr. Perez gives Dr. Krupin a thumb drive, and on that thumb drive, it's a new AI for this unit. And what it's able to do is when it reanimates, the body's gonna have some it's gonna have some residue of the human that was there before, and we're gonna be able to use that not only to tell a really good story. We're going to be able to evolve the character of HIRO, the robot. We're going to be able to evolve how it becomes self-aware, how it becomes a real person. It's kind of a Pinocchio situation, if you want to think about it that way. And also, we're going to see how these soldiers that we're trying to honor with this story, and this is a big part of what we're doing, is we're trying to honor like real heroes out there that really do give their lives, that really do sign up in real life and fight for our country. We're trying to honor them, and we're going to show how in this fictitious situation they're able to say goodbye, kind of, in a really cool way. So yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot, especially. Like I was talking to Mud before you came on, Dan, and it was more or less to the point to where, like, we just had Memorial Day like 2 weeks ago, and there's people who are denouncing our military and just completely disrespecting the flag. And it baffles me so much that people could be so disrespectful to our troops, and not only to the troops, but to people in the line of duty as far as our first responders go and stuff like that. And I saw this story, and I started picking at it, and I'm like, this is the most patriotic shit I've ever seen when it comes to a comic book. It's great.
Yeah. If they didn't like Memorial Day, they're really gonna hate our comic.
I'm just like, I'm terrified to see what happens on the 4th of July. Like,
yeah, right.
So we're in World War III. How far into the future does this take place?
You take this one, Mutt.
It's kind of it's not really laid out exactly what year we're in. We're just kind of leaving it as a near future, or not too far into the future. We don't really specify, but basically, with some tensions that are going on currently, you could imagine us being in this position not too far into the future. It's one of those things where if World War III ever kicked in, really, it wouldn't take long before there'd be some pretty major global decimation that happened. And that's kind of the situation we're in right now.
So when you guys because I heard you guys say that we're in war with Russia, right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, we're fighting commies.
Oh yeah, I love it. Now, what was the draw? Was it between North Korea and Russia? And if so, why choose Russia?
It's really a combination of things, because the global threat that we're fighting is called the Red Threat. So think about Stalinistic Russians, old communism sort of coming back with a vengeance, and then combine that with Cobra from G.I. Joe, and you've got the Red Threat.
So
Yeah, it's if Cobra happened in Russia.
So do they like yell their names when they come down, like red flag every time they attack like Cobra did, or what?
Right, probably not quite that cartoonish, but it's going to be fun. So there's going to be lots of communist pride within the Red Threat, and we're going to have our American boys are going to be down. They're not out, but when Hero steps on the scene, things change.
That's awesome.
That's right.
I was watching, I don't know what, I think it was Family Guy episode where they did a cutaway with G.I. Joe and Cobra was attacking.
Cobra.
And they were like, how does everyone know that it's Cobra? Because they're yelling it all the time. And they go, what's the way to a successful business? Branding.
Yeah.
Branding always works.
That's right. That's right.
You just see Cobra. They're yelling their names. They got their insignia on everything. And I'm like, that's
right.
That's true. That's how you run a business. You brand it everywhere you go. It just doesn't matter if it's good or bad. So, and I think the story is really relevant because, and I don't want to get political because I do enough of that on Twitter every day, just slapping people. As you know, like my Twitter profile, I'm a woman because
right.
I can get away with a lot of shit, but people are starting to catch on. So
yeah, right.
Like I think a lot of us, when that whole face app thing came out, I think like a good handful of us was just like, I'm gonna be a woman just to see what kind of shit I can say and get away with it.
And, oh yeah, there's a bunch of people.
And it was great, but a lot of that is even with comic book arts, and like I haven't been as far into the political game because it's more or less like you don't want to spoil your brand with becoming too political, but I'm seeing a lot more comic book artists like you, me, and everyone else on Twitter fighting this hive mind of SJW liberal stuff. And a lot of it that I'm seeing is that a lot of people are advocating for this socialism, for this communism that's coming forth from these politicians, and most of these people don't know what it is exactly. They're just advocating for it. And I think that's a lot of just misinformation being spread by the right people to people who don't know what to do when it comes down to finding answers for themselves,
Yeah. And I love watching those videos where somebody will go out on the streets and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to tell you some facts and you tell me whether you think that they are good or bad, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll start like reciting facts about like the Communist Party, and people will be like, oh, that's awful. That's terrible. And they'll be like, okay, so, who would you vote for? Would you vote for Donald Trump or whatever? And they're like, did you know that these are all things that like X candidate is asking for, not the one that you're voting against?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, they don't believe it. They're like so brainwashed. They can't understand that they've been fed a lot of stuff and they've accepted it as fact without doing any sort of research for themselves.
And a lot of that, and it kind of, it's amazing how a lot of that indoctrination takes place on university campuses where people are, by then, to me, in my example, because when I went to college, it was like, you should know to think for yourself by now. Like you shouldn't have anybody else trying to influence the way you think. But now most of this indoctrination are coming from college campuses, from professors who, they play the authority card. Well, I know more than you, therefore you should listen. And I'm like, no, you have somebody. I was watching one today. That's all I do at work, is I design stuff and I watch political videos. So anyways, I was watching one today where one lady was advocating for Bernie Sanders and his socialist policy. And then the girl was like, you do know that Bernie Sanders lived in like a $3 million house, right? And she had no clue. And I'm like, yeah, where does Bernie Sanders live? Apparently he owns like 3 houses and he's advocating for socialism. Meanwhile, Venezuela is on fire and no one is literally batting an eye at that. So
we're not this book is for anybody. Like, you don't have to be a right-wing Republican or conservative in any way to enjoy this book. I'm a conservative Christian guy. That's my political bend. But this book's not designed for that, necessarily for that audience.
I got you.
What's cool about it is, when like in 9/11, when we were attacked, it didn't matter what your political leaning was. We were really unified as Americans. You know what I mean, at that time. And that's what war does, and in this situation, in our story, America has really been hurt. We've been, we're losing a war. And so there's only 2 choices. There's enslavement to Russia, or there's American freedom. And so when you got that kind of a situation, you know, whether you are a socialist Democrat or a conservative Republican, you know, we're all on the same team. We're fighting for America. And so that's why it's cool. That's why I think the patriotism is actually going to, it's kind of a unifying patriotism, you know, because of the situation where the story takes place. You know, but that being said, anybody can buy this. We're good old God blessed capitalists. We don't care who you are. If your money's green and you want to buy our comic book, we'll send it to you.
100%.
If Bernie Sanders sent you that money and you need to spend it somehow, we'll take it.
That's 100%. And I love that you say that, because everybody that I've brought onto the show, and it's a lot of indie people who make comic books not just for one particular group of people. They make it for everyone to read. It's not catered. It's not pandering to like the LGBT. It's not catering to blacks. It's not catering to anybody like that. Comics, in my opinion, should be for everyone. Everyone should be able to pick up a copy of HIRO. It doesn't matter if you're American, if you're Russian, if you're from the continent of Africa, you could pick up this comic and just enjoy it for what it is. And at the end of the day, it's good storytelling.
We got backers from all over too already. It's really cool, man. We got backers from everywhere. So many people enjoy this kind of storytelling, you know, like people love, I mean, we compare it to 80s action movies all the time, you know. If you like Universal Soldier or Rambo or Commando, you're going to love this comic book.
I bet. And it looks great. And a lot of, I'm trying to keep it all in here real quick. It's just like, this comic is just, it makes people feel, you know, proud to be a part of whatever country, because we're not just the only patriotic country out there. There's so many other countries out there that people are proud to be Australian. People are proud to be from New Zealand, from the UK, from Ireland, from wherever you're from. And this book is not just, to me, in my opinion, isn't just catered towards American, because when people hear Patriots, they think, oh, the good old red, white, and blue. And I'm like, no, like compared to the most of the world, like America is still practically a teenager. There have been Patriots in other countries. We're just, every time when someone says Patriots, they just automatically think America. And I'm like, no, that's, other countries have been around a lot longer than us. And, you know, being a patriot and, you know, being proud of your country is what makes you truly not only just a decent human being, but it makes you feel proud to be a part of wherever it is you're from. Even if you might be living in Venezuela. I don't know. I'm just, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I totally agree with you guys. And that's what all comic books should be about. Even Stan Lee lived by that rule. Like, comics are for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, stuff like that. All right. So we're going to jump into the bread and butter. How long has you guys, campaign have been running? How long has it been?
Well, so our first campaign, and like 100% transparency, we ran this campaign in November, which is, we've been told and we know is a terrible time to run a campaign, but we did it anyway. And we're noobs. We didn't know anything on the crowdfunding scene, that we just jumped in. So we failed that time. This time we're like, you know what? It has a 60-day limit. We don't really know what's going to happen. Let's just throw it out there and see what happens. So we put it out there for 60 days and we got funded in less than 30. So we could have run a shorter campaign, but it's out there now. So we're a little bit more than halfway through, and we got funded. It was like 28 days, I think we got funded. So now we're just trying to stretch and get to, we'd really like to get to that $5,500 mark. We're not crazy far away. Like, really, it's not insane to think that we can get that. And it's also going to be in demand. So while we're making the book, people can still come in and get on the book, buy it. And we'll keep the in-demand store open for a while. And basically our main goal is to just get to work, and Mutt's already working hard on it, but really get down to business, write and draw and create just an incredible book to put out there for people. And at that $5,500 mark, if we do get there, that's going to get us color by on the cover, not the parts where you're showing right there, but the actual cover for the book, which is HIRO standing on the pile of corpses.
At the top. Okay.
Yeah, at the top. So that cover, the color is by
Vegas Day.
Vegas Day on Twitter.
Mhm.
And I think he isn't he Ukrainian or Russian, I think?
Yeah, I think he is either Ukrainian or Russian, I believe.
But he has such a really beautiful style. And if you like take the time and zoom in on it, you don't have to do that right now, but if you do like pull that cover up and zoom in, like
Mhm.
he spends so much time on that stuff. And I'm not the artist on this, but it's so easy to appreciate his coloring technique, and it works really well with Mutt's art. So we're really hoping we can get there. It'll be colored no matter what, but we want to have it done by him if possible.
I got you. Fantastic. So when you guys ran your campaign in November versus now, what caused it to fail in November besides doing it at the wrong time? And what
Yeah.
did you do right this time in order to just blow it up?
So we and Mutt will tell you the same thing. Once again, we were new, and we thought we thought we had answers to all the questions we needed, and so we just dived in. We didn't look; we just leaped. And so a couple things that got us. Number one was the time of year. Like it was just a bad time of year, but we were so excited to get the story out there that we put it out anyway. But I think the other factor was that we didn't really build a following. We didn't have people that were behind us. Like I started just picking up Twitter followers when we started the campaign. I think I had like 90 followers when I started. Literally nobody. And most of those are probably robots anyway. So we didn't have anybody that cared what we were saying. And that is like, I think the number one thing you got to do is you have to engage with people. And we both try to every day engage with people. Like if somebody comments on something, we want them to know that we've read it and processed it and care about what they're saying. And so we usually try to comment back. And it's really important as a creator because like for me as a fan, I buy comics, and like being able to access that creator is a big deal, I think. Being able to talk to them or ask them a question or whatever. And that's something that from day one we wanted to do, is always be accessible as much as possible to anybody who cared to interact with us. And I think that's something that we've done right. And we've really built a following of people that genuinely care about the comic and us as creators. And so I think that was the two big takeaways. And we've done some tweaks on the campaign here and there, wording and like shortening things up or making things clearer. But those are probably my two that I would choose as our number one things that we needed to change. I don't know what Mutt has to say about that. Maybe something different.
Yeah, well, I think the audience building was the biggest part. We went on with literally nobody. We raised $2,400 the first time around, but we were still pretty well short of our goal by about $1,200. I know, actually, that's another thing we did. We set an $8,000 goal on the first one because we had all these big plans. We listened to a lot of people about that. They said that's too high. And then when somebody sees that you're around 20, you get to about 2,000. Well, if your goal is 3,800 bare bones, you're making a comic, and you get to 2,400. There's a lot more push for people to get in there, and because they see it's about 75% funded, and they want to keep it going all the way. But when you're below halfway funded and you're getting close, it's a real big problem for people psychologically to jump in and back you. So
100.
by having a lower goal this time and sort of filling the rest of the gaps with stretch goals, we kind of laid it out in a smarter way. So we have the first goal is $3,800. That's just getting us funded. That means we're making a comic book. We can make it, we can get it done, we can get it shipped out. Then the stretch goals take care of the extra things we want to do. And you're obviously more likely to hit a stretch goal if you're in a 60-day campaign or you're in demand on Indiegogo. So, I think playing it that way was a much smarter move this time. It's paid off so far.
Hey, and it's great. And I like all the other people, they have their own strategies. I think my last interview that I made was with Mr. Cardinal, who's the creator of Caius.
Yeah,
he's awesome guy. Awesome guy.
Great guy.
He does not have a following at all whatsoever. Like he does not. And I asked him, he said I think it was like 6 days he ran his campaign and just completely decimated his goal. And I asked him, well, what's the secret to it? And he goes, make sure you have a video. Make sure you have a good, engaging video. Think about you going into a movie theater, you're watching the trailers, and all the trailers like blah, blah, blah. But you see that one trailer that's like, I'm going to see that movie. He says, think about that trailer you saw that just convinced you to see that movie and base your your video for your Kickstarter off of that trailer. And
Yeah, he
I
had
watched
a
this trailer and I
phenomenal
was blown away. I was like,
It's
whoa, this
good.
is like, I want this to be a TV show. Why is that got to be a
Yeah.
comic? Like, it needs to be
Yeah.
an anime for sure. So a lot of that, when it comes to crowdfunding, people just jump in, because I ran a crowdfunding about a few years ago and I failed miserably. I didn't have a following. I didn't have a good video. I talked a lot about myself versus going into what the story was about and all this other stuff. And a lot of people have different strategies when it comes to running a Kickstarter. But the one thing that I know that I took away from it is make sure that your content on your campaign page is engaging enough for people to understand what it is you're doing, what it is you need, and what it is you need from the audience in order to get this thing going. And that's one of
Yeah.
the big three that I've taken away from everybody that I've interviewed so far.
Sure.
And it's fantastic. I like it. So let me get back over here. There we go. So there was one other question. I know it was a lot. I should probably write these down for sure. But one question I do have any of you served in the military?
No, I've not. I'm a patriotic guy, but I've never served. I love my country, you know, but no, never served.
Yeah, I didn't serve. My dad, he was in the military.
Yeah.
So I did grow up like knowing and respecting him for what he did. He was he went overseas. He did one full tour overseas, and then and came back, and he was he experienced a lot of things that others experienced. Maybe not some of them, maybe not quite as intense as some others. But yeah, we've always had a deep respect for military in our house. So.
Yeah, and I think every household in America should have a deep respect. My granddad was in the Army, I believe, and he went over to Vietnam as a medic. So
Oh man,
he saw a lot of stuff over there, I'm pretty sure, but he never really talked about it. My grandma actually told me that he was in the military and he was a medic over in Vietnam. So
yeah,
my grandpa served as he was an MP during the Korean War, and then my uncle was a machine gunner in Vietnam.
Wow.
Wow, a machine gunner. That's cool.
Yeah, so we got definitely some some close family that served, and growing up when the Star Spangled Banner came on, you stood up, put your hand on your heart, and you respected the flag. And when someone that you found out served in the military was around, you thanked them for their service.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I try to instill in my kids, and that's the way we roll in my house. And you know,
I agree. I agree 100%. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I voted for Hillary, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into, to be honest. But I will say this: I am glad that we do have a president that we have today. Like Donald Trump. Like, you might not agree with some of the shit he says, and he does say some stupid shit from time to time.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, why did you say that? It's just gonna have a field day with that now. But
yeah,
I mean, a lot of people and the narrative that everyone is pushing about Donald Trump. I've never seen a president get so disrespected before in my life that it is really just sickening to the point. If you don't like him, that's fine. But you have to respect that he is the president of the United States. Doesn't matter how much stupid shit he says from time. He says some stupid shit from time to time.
He does, absolutely.
But it's just like the military. The military, they do a lot to keep us safe as American citizens, because there's a lot of people out there that just want to. They hate us for no reason at all, for just being a country that just. We're free over here. We can do whatever we want. We can say whatever we want. And it just kind of sickens me to the point that these people who are also here in our country, American citizens and all, are trying to abolish our free speech or calling it hate speech and trying to take away the Second Amendment and stuff like that. And I just, I'm just glad to meet other patriots just like you. You can't see me how enthusiastic I am right now. I love meeting other patriots just like you guys. So
that's cool, man. And you know what? Like, I think one thing that really drives me when I'm doing this artwork and thinking about this story is the fact that it's okay to be proud to be an American. You know, that it's okay to believe in American exceptionalism. And not everybody does, and the same military that we're praising fought for their right to say whatever they want to say and believe whatever they want to believe, and that's fine. I respect that too. But my belief is that, you know, we live in the greatest country on the face of the planet.
Indeed.
The United States of America has done more for the good of the world and given more and created more for the good of the world than any other country that's ever existed on the planet. And to me, that's something to be proud of, right? And
I agree.
And I am. And so, like, when I say that, you know, this is a intense action comic, patriotic sci-fi adventure, I mean, it's going to be super patriotic. And we're going to have scenes in there that hopefully will make people want to, you know, wear the red, white, and blue with a little bit more pride.
Yeah, and 4th of July is coming up, so you can best believe I'll be in that Uncle Sam suit on the beach somewhere. Just chilling out. So I actually did like a little something different with you guys. I'm trying to get a little bit more of the audience engaged with my interviews, like asking questions about certain comics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I did put out a tweet about it, and I got one person to actually comment on a question. Cool. Yeah, so I'm going to ask this question right now. It's from Chauncey Sherrin Jr., and he asked, if you can interview any superhero, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. That's a good question. That's a really good question.
I picked Spider-Man because I just love Peter Parker with a passion. Yeah. I love that guy, period. That's my answer. So
it's really good. Oh, man. Mutt, do you have an answer?
Captain America. You know, I'd love to sit down with Steve Rogers and find out what it was like to be in World War II, what it was like to fight Nazis, what it was like to wake up in modern time, you know. I love the Captain America movies, and I love Captain America's storyline in the Marvel movies.
The Winter Soldier was awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
Yeah,
loved it.
Captain
so yeah. So I would probably interview Captain America
for sure.
Okay, so that's a great answer.
You got his shield on your wall back there. I thought that was nice.
I do. Yeah, that's the World War II Cap shield I have.
Yep.
I made that for Halloween one year, and it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that thing.
It looks great to me, man.
Thanks. So, but since he gave like an honest or like an earnest answer there, like I'm gonna give a really goofy one. So my favorite Z-list, absolute bottom of the barrel character is Shatterstar. I don't know why.
Oh.
He has double swords. Like, he came out that he has pouches and a headpiece and like double swords.
Oh.
He's everything that was right with like the late 80s and 90s. And so I'm gonna say Shatterstar because he came from an alternate world or reality, right, or alternate universe where he was the most decorated gladiator for the entertainment of the planet. And I want to know what his world is like.
I thought you're going to have to refresh my memory on Shatterstar because I think he's the 80s.
Don't worry about it. It's awful.
So Mutt's gonna give me a hard time about it, but Shatterstar is a Rob Liefeld character, and he's wearing like a white suit with a white half cape, and he has like a double swords. He has a single sword, and he has a sword with two blades.
Okay.
And he has this like, it looks like you ever see like people with like the martial arts like sparring.
Like a headgear.
That's what it looks like. It looks like a martial, and he has a ponytail.
Okay.
And a glowing eye. And so he came from Mojo World.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's part of the X-Force.
Mojo World. Okay.
Mojo World, yeah. So you should just Google that later.
Yeah.
Google that later and learn a little bit about Shatterstar, and you'll
have to do that.
Think he's the coolest.
Don't do that.
or you'll think it's like the lamest character ever. And I'm 100% telling everybody he is a Z-list character, and I know it. But when I was picking up X-Force, like X-Force 100, and Shatterstar was in that comic, he was awesome.
No.
Dude, just think of the worst possible character you could possibly imagine, and then put like a half cape, a white half cape on it, and then that.
He's not a great character, but I love him. So that's who I'd pick. I wanna learn something interesting. Captain America's whole history's laid out. I want to learn something about a different different world.
Yeah, dive into why he has a half cape and
Why do you need a half cape?
Maybe he cut it with one of the two blades on the one hilt.
The double blade, yeah.
hey, whatever works, man. Everyone's costume has to be unique at some extent, right?
That's right.
There you go. So, guys, it's been fun. We're kind of coming to that 40-minute mark. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on to the show. It's been great. And I'm going to back you guys' project for sure because it's something that I really want to get into and read. So
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You guys did all. So I'm going to post your link in the description below. Guys, if you're watching it now, go over to their kick on their Indiegogo and just go ahead and look at their stuff and all the cool stuff they have for their stretch goals and stuff like that. Throw them a couple bucks. Back the project, get a copy, and just show your patriotism. Doesn't matter what country you're from. Show that you're proud to be whatever ethnicity and nationality that you are, and get this comic book and just enjoy it because that's what that's what we do as comic book artists. We write stories for people to enjoy.
And make sure we have 16 pages for free. Yeah. Totally free. There's a little link there. If you're watching this video and you haven't read it, please go. If you put your email into our it's like a list service that we're going to send you stuff. I promise it will probably send you something once or twice a year, maybe, but that will give you the full 16 pages. Read it. You get the kind of like where the story's going. Yeah, that's it.
And you got I'm about to give you my email right now so I can get my 16 pages. So
that's right.
Guys, thank you for coming on to the show. If you guys, will there be a sequel to this?
Oh, most definitely.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, when you guys start working on that sequel and you're about to launch your campaign, let me know because I'd love to have you guys back on the show. I'm thinking about getting a lot of panel going with some of the previous other artists that I've done and just come on, do a live stream once I figure out how that works. And we can get together and just have a great old time, drink, have fun, just talk about everything. So
perfect.
I will keep you guys in the loop on that. And again, guys, thank you for coming on. You guys have done a great job with you guys' comic book. And I can't wait to get my hands on those first 16 pages.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
No problem, guys. I will see you next time.
Yep. See ya.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are interested in asking future guests on the show any questions, be on the lookout for my Twitter tweets where I'll be asking you to ask me questions so I can ask them questions. I know that was a big mouthful, but hey, it works. If you are an indie comic creator and you are looking to come on the show, if you're running a campaign, starting a webcomic online or anything of the sort, please let me know. I'm available at Heroic Studios on Twitter. That's at heroic_studios. And you can always catch me on Instagram, Will at Heroic Studio. So guys, but I hope you guys enjoy this and I hope you guys enjoy the interview. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you subscribe and keep on supporting these indie artists. If you are a recurring viewer, go ahead and like and share this video. Leave some comments down below. And of course, if you like this awesome content or concept of a comic book, please go on ahead and back their Indiegogo. They have about 28 days left, 27 at the upload of this video. So see you guys next time, and I hope you guys subscribe, and I hope you guys liked. And remember to support all indie artists everywhere. Enjoy yourself. Have a good night. Bye-bye.